Hey, it's Uncle Frankie again here. This is actually going to be fun because I'm doing a little bit of expose on, a lot of the company tricks and SEO tactics and the stuff that can really make it really confusing for you because, it uses a lot of tech speak and kind of jargon that is kind of confusing and overwhelming. But I want to show you that a lot of the cliches and stuff that you hear are things you're actually going to want to avoid like the plague, or you're going to have an annoying next 6-12 months filled with disappointment and things like that. So one of the things, and this applies whether you're doing SEO yourself or hiring somebody to do it. So one of the things you'll hear people say is, we guarantee first page rankings. Oh, and just by the way, this is an article I published on another one of our websites. So we guarantee first page rankings. Well, when they guarantee first page rankings 99 times out of 100, what that means is they're going to optimize for a keyword that nobody's looking for, right? So if you're the most reliable car mechanic in the entire city of Detroit who does brakes and transmissions between the hours of 5 a.m. and 6 a.m., right? Well, sure, you can be number one for that, but nobody's actually looking for that, right? So the easiest way to sort of cut through that nonsense so you don't end up getting duped or cheated that way is to actually look at what Google calls their keyword planner. And you can go through and actually see the search volume of the stuff you're doing. And what you'd like to see is, if you're doing it for SEO, is to see that a lot of people are paying for advertising for that keyword. It usually means it's going to be very lucrative for you to rank in a search, because, obviously, if advertisers are paying, it's usually a good thing. You'll hear a lot of companies say that all of our link building is proprietary, and that most definitely means you don't want to see it. That's the short answer of that. Is they're intentionally being shady and hidey because it's not very good stuff. Here's another one: is we build thousands of links to your website. Usually that means there's a lot of cheap spammy tools that can create a lot of links really quickly. But unfortunately, they'll usually have a lot more harm than good. Sites like Fiverr.com with 2 R's, where you can get a lot of really cheap stuff. So unfortunately, if you go that road, it's going to probably end up really disappointing you. Another one you'll hear is, oh, we'll submit your website to hundreds of search engines. Well, in truth, Google is and Yahoo and Bing and AOL and the main search engines, is that they already scan the internet on their own. There's nothing you have to do to submit your website. They will find it on their own, and based on the more links and stuff you have that are quality and the more incoming data they have, they're going to find you anyway. So when someone says they're going to submit your website to hundreds of search engines, they're pretty much taking your money and giving you nothing in return. Another one you'll hear is, we use proprietary software that will rank you on the first page of Google. Software is really, really complex to make, and usually it means automated and spammy. So 99 times out of 100, you're going to see the same spam tools, and it's really going to make you kind of look kind of stupid in the face of your customers if they find you, spamming on a Viagra website, or a blog comment on a page that has 42,000 blog comments, which really exists, by the way. Another one you'll hear is, we work closely with Google. No, they don't. Google has a conflict of interest. They're full of crap. No Google Christmas card, nothing. Because, at the end of the day, it's just not something that's in their ability to do. They may work closely on Google, but they certainly don't work closely with Google. Another thing you'll hear is, don't worry, we are, 100% white hat. That's kind of one of those buzzwords. Well, in actuality, one thing you should know that may surprise you is that Google's very upfront about their policy that any link building is not white hat. So you should really, according to Google, is really just make your website and wait. Now, obviously it doesn't work like that in the real world, but really nothing is 100% white hat other than building your site and waiting. And as many of you have seen, even with the Google penalties, you can still get hit with all that stuff. Another thing you'll hear is, you got to get locked into a 6-month, 12-month, even 24-month contracts I've seen. Well, the actuality, I know that sounds like, obviously, yes, SEO is a long, slow game. But at the end of the day, you should see progress, from the very first month, second month, and you should at least be moving in the direction you're going to want to go. So if somebody's trying to lock you down into a long-term sort of tricky contract, you should definitely be wary, and at the very least do a lot of homework before you get into that. Another one is, we can only accept one client in your area. This area won't last. Really, obviously that's just a selling tactic. That's why I've got this big snake oil photo here. Another one you'll hear is, typically our company minimum is 5,000 a month. But they act like they're doing you a favor for giving it to you for 3,000, blah blah blah. They're not. One of the things you'll see is companies that have packages, bronze, silver, and gold. And especially if it's not like custom work, if it's like, you get 50 of these in the bronze and 100 of those in the silver, that's probably really bad for you, because they're really just using spam tools and cookie cutter stuff. And really, like, for example, if you're a lawyer, it's going to help you to have links from legal websites. If you're a carpet cleaner, it's going to help to have links from carpet cleaning. So, the types of links you should get should reflect the type of website you get. You only pay after we rank you. This sounds really, really good, because, obviously, who wouldn't want to get the results first and then pay for it? But usually these are actually really scammy models. There's one that really started this all, and what they do is they would start charging you on page 3. Now, the problem with that is why that sounds really good is because usually only the first page and a half are really active in terms of SEO, right? So it's very easy to get on the third page with, 20 handmade backlinks kind of thing, because you're only competing against companies that are doing nothing. But it's much, much harder to go from page 3 to, the third place position on the first page. And so what they'll do is they'll start charging you once you hit the third page, and then they'll just leave you there, and you'll just see slight moderate increments, but they'll start dinging you. And it's kind of like there's no difference between the second page onward, because nobody goes there. So being the difference between being on the third page and the 30th page is no different. It makes no difference, because nobody's going to see what you've got. So that's kind of really tricky thing. So I forgot to turn off that. Obviously, I think it's the coffee machine, actually. Another one you'll hear is that will send you a free quote. Now, you probably see a lot of these templates, right? I mean, where they pretty much use all the same SEO software, and it's very technical sounding. It has things like meta keywords and metadata and stuff like that. And a lot of this stuff is made to sound harder than it is really just a system of distributing quality content so that you can rank higher and have people who are looking for you. But, a lot of the stuff that actually comes in those reports is actually, those tools are like 5 years old, and Google changes the game really rapidly. And so some of the stuff they're telling you that is wrong with your site, which is kind of designed to get you in a fearful state of mind, so you go, oh, I got to fix all these things on your website, are not even accurate. So you don't necessarily have to jump out the door because somebody tells you have all these technical problems. And I'm not talking just obviously the spam emails you get from India, probably 3 times a week at least. And they don't even change the email. I know they're pretty lazy. So what else we got? And another one you'll hear is that pay-per-click is a waste of time and money. Is really, a lot of companies that tell you that really are doing that because they can't make the same kind of fees. But both of those, both SEO and pay-per-click, can be done very effectively, when used properly and set up. Obviously, they have different goals. But I just want to give you, in this piece, just a really quick tutorial on kind of understanding how this stuff works in the background, so you don't end up, at the end of the day, duped and have somebody kind of take your money and, not get fair value on it. So I hope that was useful. If you'd like to check out more of our services, you can click the link below the video. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Frankie over and out. Thanks for watching.